Today, let's talk about soul depression. Could it just be that for those of you that are going through depression, it's your soul that says, I've had enough. I can't keep being a human. Listen to what I just said there. The soul says, I can't keep being a human. I've had enough. So when I went into depression, I didn't understand it because it was a new experience. So there was two ways of looking at this story of depression. Is it an illness or is it an experience? I realized it became an experience, and it was a new experience, and that's why I found it very difficult to understand what was going on. Why was it called depression? Why was I depressed? What was the real meaning behind depression? And so therefore you can spend time trying to understand how to get out of your depression. What I discovered though through this awakening, because to me depression became an awakening. Depression let me know just how much pain I was carrying inside of me. Hence depression. It's when you've had enough. I've had enough. Doesn't matter what I do. It's that moment. And everybody, it seems, that's in depression is caught in that doorway. It's like you're standing on the ledge of a doorway. You're depressed, but you want to step out of that doorway, but you don't know how to. In my awakening, I got given that code, and that code was within me that helped me to understand what is it? What is depression? And what depression was all about was healing away my human self. So the human self had had enough. That means the soul said, I've had enough. Doesn't matter how much you try to convince yourself to get back into doing what you used to do. Did you not think there was a stronger feeling that says, I ain't doing that? It was almost like a stubbornness that said, I'm not doing that. So in that moment, I looked at life and thought, I've done everything that I needed to do as a human being. Was that the truth of who I am? What is the truth of why I'm here? What is the meaning and purpose to life? In depression, you will be asking them questions, but here's the thing. Who are you asking them to? And I will say to you, you are connecting in with your soul. So you are going in and asking your soul, what's the problem? Why have we stopped? Why am I not that happy-go-lucky person? Why am I not the being that I used to be? Why am I depressed? What's going on? We call it the dark night of the soul when everything just stops abruptly. And for me, it was abruptly. Everything just changed overnight. And so therefore I went on a search to try and understand, well, what was the importance of that? Why did I go through that? And it was so interesting because ultimate answer is we are so consumed with the human programming that you don't know who the true I is. You don't know who being you is. When I got rid of the human, that's when I discovered the code of empathy. I discovered healing abilities. I discovered a different way to be able to speak with myself. I understood my emotions. So the process that I put together called empathy was an inner code dialect. And it was a vocabulary of a certain amount of words that was needed to be able to heal yourself away from the human emotions. Do you know how good that feels? To feel free from your emotions? That's the first part of this story, because you're trying to get in connection with your soul. You're trying to get in connection to your own God within. You know that story? God is within you. It's been said for centuries. But do we believe it? Well, of course, no, we don't believe it, do we? How do we understand what is God and how is God within? But I've got to the stage in my life when I look at it like this. God is a three-letter word. be me, BME, is also a 3-letter word. Who created who? So did humans create this idea of God? Or did God create us that gave us the idea of God? To me, that really is the chicken and egg, isn't it? God's a 3-letter word. I'm a 3-letter word. Once that message come through to me loud and clear, that was the God within me and the human became one. And in that moment of finding your one authentic self, you can discover that you are so much more than the human being. And this is why you will hear me say, you got to get rid of the human being because it's killing you. And when you look at it, it truly is. When you say that you hate yourself or you're embarrassed of yourself, you don't like the way you look, you don't like the shape of your body, you don't like the way that you act, you don't like the way that you think, you don't like your emotions. There are so many things that you don't like about yourself. Just that alone needs to be healed. And can it be healed? Yes, it can be healed when you separate yourself from this I am depressed, I am ugly, I am horrible, I am angry, I am useless, I am worthless, I am no good to anybody. It's the I am, human self. Human self and the programming has been designed to shut down all beings' souls, which means they only know the human language, and the other language they know has been written in books. So they've just followed books. They've listened to and believed the truth of what somebody has said. But the truth of it is God is working through you, in you. It's the very life force. It's your breath. I remembered I nearly died in a toilet in a train station. Not a good place to die. My appendix had busted. And, wow, I just couldn't believe the pain. So in that moment, I truly understood what was the gift of God. Because when you're gasping for breath and you're gasping to stay alive, that is a battle that is hard to understand if you're going to win or you're going to lose. So in that moment, I was trying to breathe. But don't forget, we spend a life. We don't try to breathe. We just breathe. So every amount of breath in my body is God-given. And we need to respect that. The breath is God. We are the breath of God. But how do we speak with the breath of God? I knew how I spoke as a human. I know how I thought as a human. I knew how I felt as a human. I knew all of the conditions of being a human. And that was on the good side of the fence. I fell off the fence, and then I had to learn and understand what it was like to be human, feeling mentally stressed, full of anxiety, full of fear, feeling broken, feeling injured, feeling depressed, and beyond that word depressed, seeing demons, seeing spirit, talking to myself a lot. Everything seemed dark, black, lonely, empty, scary. Human. It's all human. Every condition of that is human, and everybody is trying to find the cure to why this went wrong in the human life, and why do I feel like this in my inner world, in my mental mind of emotions, and I feel completely disappointed, lost and confused, with a body that's filled with pain. The human is in pain. So when you hear me say, balance my emotions, that's trying to understand the pain that I am carrying. and trying to understand the biggest lie that's ever been spoken about is you cannot heal. You cannot heal another, and that you cannot get in connection with your soul, and you cannot have a direct line to God. You, me, we cannot do that. You know why? Because that programming was installed to us the moment we took that first breath. The moment you took your first breath, you had a gender, you had a race, you had a religion, you had an identity, you had a number. That's in the first breath that we have taken on the footsteps of understanding what truly is the meaning of life. You are looking for your own God within. God didn't leave you out. Your whole creative self, the very fabric of who you are, keeps you alive on a daily basis. But the human being programming has tricked you to destroy it and to hate it. And you know why? Because that keeps you a slave. That keeps you trapped in the 5 sense realm. And if you feel so bad about yourself, we've got a pill or a tablet or some medicine that'll just cure that for you and you'll be okay. Are you okay? Not really. Healing has become a very taboo word, and healing many centuries ago was taught in the ancient times. But as man evolved and got hold of it, they decided to keep that information for themselves. But now we are living in a world where so many people are awakening to their true selves. So the first part of your journey is about finding the true self. When you go into that darkness, it's about feeling the true self. And boy, are you really feeling that true self, because all the pains from your emotional self are going to let you know what you've become. And then can we arrive at a place where we awaken within ourselves that says, do you know what? Trying to be a human being is a struggle, because most of our lives we tried to be human beings. I got to the point when I asked myself, but is human being my true identity? And of course now I know it's not. The human has many identities. You can play all of them identities, and you will become all of them identities. 8 billion people are playing them identities under the one identity called human. Everybody underneath that falls into that category. Doesn't matter what race, religion, what you believe in, what you don't believe in. Doesn't matter what gender you are. You all believe you've come here to be human beings. If you are depressed, there's a real reason behind that. As I said, the soul has come here to endure the life, get fed up with it and say, I've had enough of that. I need to now grow. And you're growing back to God, but also you're evolving as a soul. Because you evolve as a soul when you learn to be able to speak to yourself with intelligence. You speak to yourself with intelligence because don't you think God is intelligence? Everything in your body works on intelligence. But it also works on listening to commands from your mind. And so therefore the commands in your mind, which are human, are trying to reorganize your body, and your body cannot cope. So your mind is creating stress on the body. The body then has to go into action to try and fix your body. It gets overloaded, the body breaks down. So what do we need to do? We need to meet the soul. You need to meet your body halfway, because your body is saying to you, if you carry on doing this, I can't cope. And that's when the body shuts down. That's why you have no energy, because it just can't cope. And it can't cope because the vocabulary that you are using is destroying your inner self. And that's why humans will never truly find happiness, because they're trying to find it in things. But what you need to find it in is certain words that activate, that communicate, and awaken your own soul's mission, meaning, and purpose. Just to be you. To wake up to the meaning that you are here just to be you. And once you understand that be me, be you is the God within, it is the breath within, it is everything, every atom, every molecule in your body is working without you. But what if you could just talk to it with a bit of respect? What do you think your body would then start doing? And that is how you begin to awaken. And that's how I discovered Beamyism, because Beamyism was the truth of who I am. Being me is, I am a beamy being, being me, whilst living here on planet Earth. So it's down to me and it's down to you to have a different perception of what life can mean. And the only way that that can be done is when you get rid of the human being, allow your soul, your God within, to rise up and speak through you and teach you and heal you, to understand that God has always been there, and you do have the gift to be able to heal. You just need to get rid of the programming that got you to believe that you couldn't. I'm here to remind you that it's possible, because when I awakened, this was the message I bring to the table. God said, be me. Now you got to discover how. My name is Trevor Owsley. Oh, that's my human name. My real name is Zembaki, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care.